This elderly man intended to terminate his existence. He placed a cord around his throat, prepared to enter the portal of the afterlife. However, abruptly, Death materialized and remarked he was too pitiable. Death desired to personally select a fine location for him. Before the elderly man could respond, Death whisked him away. They reached the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco. This was more exhilarating than bungee jumping. Death swiftly prompted him to attempt it. Noticing the elderly man was not content, Death told him not to fret and transported him to the Eiffel Tower. Here he ought to depart like a nobleman. Death was prepared to wait for him briefly, but the elderly man was terrified of altitudes and did not venture to leap. Noticing the elderly man behave like a weakling, Death resolved to bring him along. The following instant, they reached a frozen territory. Death was not finished playing yet. In the frost, matters would be more cryptic, but in under 3 seconds, the elderly man became a frozen treat. The elderly man was unable to stir at all. This made Death perceive it was too dull. But Death possessed numerous schemes. He straightaway transported the elderly man to a volcano rim and plunged down a cascade with him. In the ensuing period, the elderly man underwent all sorts of peculiar journeys. Then the elderly man landed on railway lines. Observing the locomotive approaching directly at him, the elderly man retreated in terror. He now felt remorse and desired to survive, but Death informed him it was too late. The locomotive sped past, but when the elderly man unclosed his eyes, he was back in his apartment. Everything just then was a mirage generated by Death. The elderly man opted to survive. Before departing, he mentioned to Death that 60 years old is the ideal time to head out and travel. Death felt very joyful. What the elderly man did not realize was that this Death was actually an angel in camouflage.